Emily Crane is apparently her friends have named her, a materialologist. Every time I say that word, I think of someone who can predict the weather, someone who can make materials, and someone who can invent things. She works at the intersection of food culture, and she combines molecular cuisine with material experiments. Essentially, she's cooking textiles. That's what she's doing this evening. She's been working with the studio Nancy Tilbury, who is quite well known for the Phillips work, and she completed an MA at Kingston University in London, where she still collaborates. Emily is doing a kind of performative engagement with materiality, and I think it's best to just give the stage to her to begin her experiment, and then we'll have an opportunity to ask lots of questions afterwards. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Now, I'm sure there are many questions, and hopefully a mic for Emily as well. But let's just share it for now. This project is called Micronutrient Couture, and what instigated your interest in combining food with garments?
I did a very interesting project called Zero, which was sort of questioning what would a fashion practitioner do with zero resources. I spent a lot of time looking at different materials that were in my day-to-day life, and was one day sat in the bath, as one does, and saw how beautiful the bubble structures were within just a standard bubble bath. I started to ask questions about how this material could be used, what it could be used for, and what processes the actual material could go through to prevent a new material.
And what kinds of materials exactly are you using? You've described them as food byproducts and as these materials being edible. So can we eat everything on this table?
All the dried samples that are pre-prepared, you can definitely eat on the table. I wouldn't necessarily advise it, as they've been through a few exhibitions by now, so maybe not quite ready for eating. But all the ingredients are very, very edible indeed.
You've also brainstormed with the chefs at Fat Duck, a very famous molecular cuisine restaurant in London. And why would they want to meet you, and what did you talk about?
I kind of contacted them on the basis that I wanted to learn all about edible bubble solutions, really, and edible foaming agents. So I rocked up and chatted to them in sort of pink wellies and a very beautiful frock. And they're like, but you design fashion. What are you doing here? And I explained to them, well, I have this urge to question and provoke about the sustainability of our current fashion cycles and how throwaway fashion is, I feel, not the answer. And to prevent, well, my aim is really to prevent fashion ending up in landfill sites.
So will we see an increase of more organic materials, such as the ones that you're using in fashion, do you think? Or will we begin to eat our clothing at restaurants?
I certainly believe that there's a huge trend for sort of bio-couture. I think it's very, very interesting what people are beginning to come up with, and some of the very outstanding designers are beginning to create.
And you've told me that your recipes are a secret. So how do you plan on disseminating this practice that you have?
My sort of recipes and ingredients I like to keep very close to my heart, and that way they're always a surprise. It's always very magical. So I've always seen that, you know, it's a very do-it-your-own process. So a recipe is sold with a kit, so it's very science and molecular. So add so ever many milliliters of X plus Y equals one bubble dress.
Any questions out there? I'm sure there are. I think there's a microphone that can go into the audience, or I can just come to you. What else do we need to know about Emily's practice? Any throbbing questions? Well, I wonder if it's actually, oh, wonderful. Aniek?
Emily, how do you deal with the ephemerality of a work? What is the importance and the relation you have to works that disappear almost immediately after they are done?
I feel that transient materials are very interesting because they very push towards our current fashion cycles of a constant new. So the fashion-obsessed shopper that is forever wanting a fast fix and a new dress every week, a transient material that can be melted down, reworked, reset into a new dress each week, actually has very real sort of precedence with our current fashion cycles. How's that? Yeah.
Any other questions? How has I have lots, how has the reaction of the fashion world been to what you're doing, the kind of research that you're doing?
Some have been very interested, of course, with the materials. It's a new trick is always fascinating, but some people think it's a bit far out, and I have to explain that maybe it's just a trend, that trend forecasting might be the way forward, and that really I'm playing with materials and questioning and provoking rather than, at the end of it all, presenting a real fix.
And a final question. How does it feel to wear bubbles?
It feels great.
Great. Thank you so very much, Emily. Wonderful.